The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Commander Sarah Chen entered, her standard-issue boots echoing against the crystalline floor. Around the circular amphitheater, representatives from 17 different species watched with expressions ranging from curiosity to barely concealed disdain. The humans had finally been granted membership, though most considered it a formality, a charitable gesture toward a species too primitive to matter. "Behold," rumbled Gorvak, the Threnody representative, his massive frame rippling with muscle beneath armored skin. "The fragile ones have arrived." Soft, chittering laughter echoed from the insectoid Zephyrians, while the crystalline Luxari simply pulsed with amused light patterns. Even the diplomatic Altarians, known for their courtesy, seemed to struggle with containing their skepticism. Chen took her assigned position at the podium, noting how the other species towered over the human section. The Threnody could survive in the vacuum of space for hours. The Zephyrians could regenerate lost limbs within days. The Corvin had bones harder than steel and could lift 10 times their body weight. And then there were the humans, soft, easily broken, requiring constant environmental controls just to survive outside their homeworld. "Welcome, Representative Chen," spoke High Arbiter Vexthon, a being of pure energy contained within a mechanical form. "We understand your species wishes to contribute to our defense initiatives." "That's correct," Chen replied, her voice steady despite the obvious condescension in the chamber. "With respect," interjected Admiral Krex of the Altarian Navy, "your people have only recently achieved faster-than-light travel. Your military technology is primitive. Your soldiers are physically inferior to every species represented here. What exactly do you believe you can offer?" Chen's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Perhaps a demonstration would be more effective than words. Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights bathed the chamber in red as Vexthon's form flickered with urgency. "Hostile forces detected," the AI announced. "Zerathi raiders, approximately 50 ships. All defensive positions, prepare for engagement." The Zerathi, parasitic beings that fed on the life force of other species. They had been the bane of the galaxy for centuries, striking without warning, leaving dead worlds in their wake. The Council's combined fleets had never managed more than defensive victories against them. "All representatives to secure locations," Admiral Krex commanded, already moving toward the command center. This station's shield should hold. But Chen didn't move toward safety. Instead, she activated her communicator. "Chen to Terran Fleet Command. We have a Zerathi incursion. Request immediate assistance." Gorvak let out a booming laugh. "Your primitive ships? Against the Zerathi? You'll be obliterated in minutes." "Perhaps," Chen said quietly, "but that's never stopped us before." The battle began as it always did with the Zerathi, swift and merciless. Their bioships, grown rather than built, swarmed the defensive perimeters like a plague. The Council's forces, for all their advanced technology and superior physiology, began to falter under the relentless assault. Then the humans arrived. It wasn't a grand fleet, just 12 destroyers and a single cruiser. Ancient by galactic standards, held together more by determination than modern engineering. The Council representatives watched in amazement as these inferior vessels charged directly into the heart of the Zerathi formation. "Tactical analysis indicates those ships cannot possibly survive that maneuver," reported Admiral Krex, his voice tight with disbelief. Chen smiled grimly. "You're probably right. The first human ship took critical damage within seconds, its hull breached in 3 places. By all logic, it should have retreated or been destroyed. Instead, it accelerated further into the enemy formation, its remaining weapons blazing. When its engines finally failed, the crew deliberately rammed their vessel into the largest Zerathi bioship, detonating their reactor in a brilliant flash." "Insane," whispered a Zephyrian delegate. "They're committing suicide." "No," Chen corrected. "They're buying time." Ship after ship, the humans pressed their impossible attack. When their weapons failed, they used their ships as weapons. When their hulls breached, they kept fighting in void suits. When their numbers dwindled, the survivors fought harder. Captain Rodriguez of the UES Defiant found himself alone against 5 Zerathi vessels. His ship crippled, life support failing. His crew, 23 souls from a dozen different nations on Earth, had a choice: abandon ship or make their deaths count. "All stations," Rodriguez broadcast, his voice crackling through damaged comm systems, "prepare for close proximity detonation. We're taking them with us. The explosion eliminated 4 of the 5 remaining Zarathi ships and severely damaged the station's attackers had been targeting. In the council chamber, silence reigned as the battle reports came in. 12 human ships had engaged 50 Zarathi vessels. Only 1 human ship remained operational, its crew of 8 still fighting despite catastrophic damage. The Zarathi, faced with an enemy that simply refused to accept defeat, began to withdraw. They had never encountered a species that treated death not as an ending, but as another weapon to be deployed. "Final casualty report," Admiral Krex announced, his voice hollow with disbelief. "Human forces, 11 ships destroyed, 143 casualties. Zarathi forces, 42 ships destroyed, remainder in full retreat. The raid has been repelled." Gorvak stared at the tactical display, his massive hands trembling slightly. "They won. Those fragile primitive human won." Chen nodded slowly. "You see, you've been measuring us by the wrong standards. Yes, our bodies break easily. Yes, our technology is inferior. Yes, we die when others would survive. But there's something you've failed to account for." She gestured to the display showing the aftermath of the battle, the debris field that had once been proud human vessels and their crews. "We may be fragile in body, but we are unbreakable in will. We have faced extinction on our own world 1,000 times over. Ice ages, plagues, wars, natural disasters, and every time we have endured. Not because we're strong, but because we refuse to quit. When you have superior firepower, you expect to win. When we fight, we're already prepared to lose everything, and that makes us the most dangerous species in the galaxy." The chamber remained silent as Chen turned to leave. She paused at the entrance, looking back at the assembled representatives. "The next time you need someone to hold the line against impossible odds, remember today. Remember that sometimes the strongest force in the universe isn't the hardest metal or the most advanced weapon. Sometimes it's simply the refusal to surrender no matter the cost." As the doors closed behind her, High Arbiter Vexthan's mechanical form pulsed with what might have been respect. "Perhaps," he announced to the chamber, "we have underestimated our newest members." Outside, rescue ships were already en route to recover the survivors from the remaining human vessel. They would be honored as heroes, their sacrifice remembered, and somewhere in the depths of space the Zarathi were learning a new kind of fear. Not of superior firepower or advanced technology, but of an enemy that simply would not break, no matter how many times they were shattered. The galaxy had learned its first lesson about humanity. They might mock their fragile bodies, but they would never again underestimate their unbreakable will.